Good afternoon and a very welcome to another Tjhoko Live with Nadine Vosloo, Mama Tjhoko. I hope that the week has treated you well, and I'm here to give you some endless inspiration. We are approaching, and I can't even believe I'm going to say this time of the year where we are celebrating year-end functions, where we are getting together almost as family and friends to celebrate Christmas, festive time, festive season, holiday spirits are around the corner, and I'm going to share some creative ideas with you on how to set that perfect table. But not only that, also to share with you the journey, how to plan and prepare for a creative and during a creative journey. So we are busy, and Kaylee and Nadine is behind the scenes. We are busy preparing a shoot for the Home magazine. And in the newest issue of the Home magazine, you will see a Tjhoko table that's set beautifully. But now you are also part of that journey to see how we prepare, how we plan, and how we do things. So usually the most difficult decision is color choice. What colors am I going to use? I was in a very fortunate position when prepping and planning for the shoot. We have a beautiful artist in the area, Sharon Bauman, and she created with Tjhoko a beautiful mural on the patio where we are going to film the table setting. So the colors, aloes, apparently I've got some lipstick on my teeth. Guys, it off, Kylie. The colors and the design that she has done on the walls are aloe, so it's green, it's oranges, and currently in the trend sets and the trends, decor trends, green and orange are very popular. So I'm going to give you some inspirations and also then with the Tjhoko colors. So the first thing that we are going to do together is we are going to, I'm just getting a pair of scissors. So we literally just dropped off everything at the client's house where we are filming tomorrow. So this is air drying clay, right? And this is a 250 gram of air drying clay. Now Tjhoko has recently launched an exciting new range of molds. So there you can see one design, here's another one, and here's another one. So these are stunning because it resembles tiles, and for the table shoot we are actually going to do coasters with them. Let me show you how. So this is a 250 gram piece of air drying clay, and I'm going to halve it. So it's 125 grams that you need for each coaster. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all roll it in my hand. I have a dowel stick here that I'm going to use as my rolling pin. So what I do is I press it in a ball in my mold and I start rolling. And this amount of air drying clay is enough to make a beautiful sized coaster that's just perfect. Also, it can be used as tiles if you quickly need a DIY solution to create tiles. So I bought this air drying clay for 24 Rand. So each coaster will cost me 12 Rand to make myself. So for those that are living in different countries than South Africa, welcome to our Thursday Live and welcome to Tjhoko. We've had the most inspirational meetings this week with Ireland, with Scotland, Botswana, Zimbabwe, and the rest of the meetings are to follow next week and the week after with the other countries. Yeah, so we are very fortunate. Also look out on our social pages for what's happening around the world Wednesdays, where we will share the news of our Tjhoko family across the world with you. Okay, So I roll. What I want to do is I want to make sure, you can also cut it off, but I want to make sure that my initial design is nice and flawless. So I'm pressing all the additional excess clay back. So it's nice. You can cut excess off. Okay, we have a question. Kaylee, read the question and then I'm going to answer.
So these new molds that Tjhoko Paint has released, there's a person that wants to know, where can they buy them from? Where can we get these molds?
Okay, so all the Tjhoko Paint stockists have got the catalogs and the price list. You can ask your nearest Tjhoko stockist. So all the Tjhoko Paint stockists are listed on our website, tjokopaint.co.za. If your Tjhoko stockist, or if you don't have a Tjhoko stockist in your area, you can also buy them online on the Tjhoko Paint website, tjokopaint.co.za. Just click on the shop option and they are there. Okay, now I have rolled them out. I'm going to answer the next question shortly, and I remove them immediately. And now I can make sure they are perfect. You can dip your finger in some water and just smooth out all the edges. Or you can cut them off and then smooth out the edges. Okay, Kaylee, next question.
Where can we buy the air drying clay from?
Air drying clay you can buy from stationery stores like B&A. You can also ask at Crazy Plastics. So stationery stores, Crazy Plastics. Yeah, find them there. If you in the Jeffreys Bay area, Pitto sells them. Okay. So now next important step is to lay it flat. I've dried mine on my cutting boards. Okay, so this is now going to dry. If I want to smooth out anything, simply dip your finger in water, and where you see imperfections, you can just smooth it out. Okay, but they need to dry flat. If you need to wash your mold, you simply use lukewarm water, and you wash it, you dry it, and you reuse it. You can even use cement in here. It is a stunning, good quality, reusable mold that can be used again and again and again. Okay, there's another question. I like the questions. Okay, what is that question, Kaylee?
Is there any stores in Ireland?
Absolutely, we have a...
There's one client asking that you should start selling Tjhoko Paint in Ireland, but I think she's unaware that there is maybe stores.
We even have a website for Ireland. Adele, if you are watching this live, you need to jump in. Whoever is asking, please, Trish or...
Trish.
Okay, Trish, you please assist the client with the Ireland website address. If you don't have it, just ask so that one of the team members can share it with that family member. I hate using the word client. We have a distributor in Ireland. Adele, she's amazing. She recently had the most beautiful CSI project together with Animal Rescue Centre in Ireland. So yeah, Tjhoko is in Ireland. Please let us know if you need any assistance after this. Okay, now my coaster has dried, right? Here's mine, it's dry. Next, I'm going to now, we are working with color. Color is a personal choice. I'm giving color inspiration according to the shoot that we have tomorrow. So the color that I'm going to paint onto my air drying clay is Simply Superior. So it is like a terracotta color, beautifully inspired. I'm dipping a dry paintbrush into my paint. What I usually recommend is I say to my children as well, don't do what I do, do what I say. So rather always decant some paint into little. You need very little, especially for something like this. decant your paint into something else so that you don't contaminate your paint. Usually we wash our paint brushes, mold, anything can grow on our brushes, and now you're dipping that into your paint jar, and over time it contaminates. Air also contaminates. So my paint is standing open, but this is purely because that you can see what colors I'm using. Don't do what I do. There's a question.
I have a question, Nadine.
Kaylee's having a question. Yes, Kaylee, how can I help you?
So the molds, can we use them more than one time?
Yes, absolutely. So you can reuse and reuse and reuse as much as you like. Okay, does it answer your question, Kaylee? Okay, now on my dry clay, you can even paint on wet clay because I haven't had time for clay to wait to dry. So here, I've painted on wet clay. You can see I can still bend it, but I didn't have time for my clay to dry before I painted because I'm rushed to get everything done for tomorrow. But this one now has dried just to show the process. And now I'm painting over it with Simply Superior. You can also, while the clay is drying, I haven't done it to this one. You just need to, from time to time, press it down that it's nice and straight. Just to make sure it dries nice and flat. Okay, there's another question.
Is die klei herwinbaar?
Is the clay reusable? I'm not sure if it is. Once it's dry, I think it's like pottery. It's dry and it's set. I don't know from here. So it's a natural form. I don't think that there's anything harsh to the environment with the air drying clay. But once it has dried, I don't think you will be able to get it back into a reusable form again. I haven't tried that. It's like cement. In its dry form, in its wet form, you can shape and pour and create, but once it has set, it has set. But there are no harsh chemicals in the air drying clay. My hands have been working with them quite a bit. Okay, so there now, I've simply painted one coat. You can allow for this coat of paint to dry. See whether a second coat is necessary. Apply your second coat and you are done. You don't need to seal it with anything afterwards, unless Tjhoko has a built-in sealer and primer. And this is what it looks like once it has dried. And if you don't like sorry, I've touched now with my wet hand. If you don't like the matte finish on it, you can apply the clear glaze, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So in my container over here, so what the clear glaze does, it adds extra protection in terms of stain resistance, and it also changes the sheen level. So from a matte finish, you will now have a subtle satin finish. And the application to apply the clear glaze, we recommend to use a microfiber cloth. Now what I've already done here during a previous Thursday live is I've already mixed my glaze. So the glaze, as you buy it in the shop, is in concentrated form, and on the lid you will see we recommend to dilute it 3 parts clear glaze, 1 part water, cooled boiled water. Tap water contaminates paint products. So I have already done my mix here, something that I've shown in previous videos, and if you are not following our YouTube channel yet, please do so. It's free. There are so many inspirational videos on there. You can even use the lid of the glaze jar or the paint jar. 3 parts glaze, 1 part cooled boiled water, and then you can put it back in an airtight container and reuse as needed. We do, however, recommend when glazing onto dark colors like black or Danny's Day to rather mix 1 to 1. Or if you want to manipulate the sheen level, you want less of a sheen, more of a matte but a very subtle sheen, that is also when the mix will happen 1 to 1. 1 part glaze, 1 part cooled boiled water. So you can manipulate the sheen level by adding more water to your glaze than the recommended 3 parts glaze, 1 part water. Next step, This is now for the glaze application. I dampen my microfiber cloth in cooled boiled water. I don't want to contaminate anything. It's just kettle water that has cooled down. I'm going to dip it in my glaze jar. This is for small application. Please go watch our videos on YouTube for larger surfaces, and I simply wipe it on. And you make sure, just remove excess. As you see, you might have too much on your cloth. If any unevenness occurs once this has dried, you simply add another coat. It's water-based, eco-friendly, food-safe, and it makes your surface water and UV resistant. Excellent to use on garden pots when we paint in kitchens, bathrooms, outdoors. Okay, there's a question. Yes, I'm listening.
When is the Gauteng workshop, or have I missed it?
The Gauteng workshop did not happen this year because Nadine, the person that you are looking to, did not have capacity. I had to fit in a trip, and I had to postpone the Gauteng workshop. It will happen next year, I promise. So just keep an eye on our socials. I promise, this is a promise, it will happen next year. Okay, so this now is I'm going to leave this to dry, and then I'll show you once it has dried what it looks like. Okay, I'm just putting it aside. 30 minutes and that will be ready. Okay, so the glaze application now makes sense. I just quickly want to evenly wipe it, make sure it's nice and even. Okay, next, so coaster's done. And for the taste sheet, here are my pile of coasters that are right and ready. Okay, so that's done. Now I'm going to move to the next. So for our table setting, we need napkins. I've searched everywhere, but also saying that I've seen when I was in Joburg and in Cape Town, I saw the napkins that I liked. And when I looked here, living in the Eastern Cape, our options are less. So, and also when I visited Marina in the Western Cape, she actually gave me this idea because we had a dinner club, and she realized that her napkins are so used and stained that we need to upcycle them, fabric napkins. And then she loves blues and greens, and she has a color magical Marina, and we changed the color of the napkins. The same can happen with your pillowcases, natural fabrics. If you want to upcycle tablecloths, just larger fabrics, it is more of a job because it's a mess. Okay. Now what I'm going to show you is I have napkins here. They are white. Okay, but all mine is stained, colored, stenciled for all the Thursday Lives inspirations with taste and everything that we do. So I now need one that goes with my table setting for a magazine sheet, and I couldn't source. But with Tjhoko, you can literally do so much, anything that your heart desires to get the outcome that you want. So I'm going to take this napkin. It's a natural woven linen napkin. Okay, I'm going to dip it in water first of all. Now I'm going to leave it there just for a moment so it absorbs water. Now next to me I have 3 different colors. This is Olivia's Pale, and just to share ideas on how to use that last bit of paint so that it doesn't go to waste. What I've done is I had the last bits of paint in my jar and I boiled my kettle. And I poured the hot water into my jars, I shook them, and I poured them into a container and added more water to get to the color that I want. So here is a very pale green. Olivia's Pale is a pale green, but I've diluted it quite a bit just to be pale. In here I have Maestro. So you can also add hot water to a container, add your paint as you wish until you actually have the outcome you want. Now I want to share this with you because last night I was looking for more napkins to demonstrate today. I actually earlier today I had to go and get more because I don't have enough for the shoot tomorrow. But I want to share this with you. This is now memory lane. In 2020, during the hard lockdown, we did this together as an inspiration on somewhere. So these were forks dipped in matte black, and we made geometrical patterns. Now I'm still going to use this 2020, and it's 3 years later, and you can see it has worked hard. But instead of throwing away, let's upcycle. So this one we're also going to do. I'm just going to squeeze out excess moisture while I'm wetting the fabric. The reason for this is the moment it's wet, it will just absorb color evenly and more easily. There's a question. Yes, Kaylee, I'm listening.
So the coasters, back to the coasters.
Yeah.
Can we
Ja.
I'm going to ask in Afrikaans.
Okay.
Kan ons die kante glad skuur as hulle droog is of word hulle te hard om dit te kan
No, you
skuur?
can. So if I want to sand the edges when it has dried, can I do that? Yes, you can. So that's the question. Here's my sanding paper. Here's a dry coaster. So what you can do is you can sand, make it nice and even, and just repaint. Because you can see now the sandpaper is removing the paint until you have nice smooth edges. So yeah, you can. Most definitely. Thank you for that question. Okay. Okay, now I have my wet, this is actually a kitchen towel here. So let's not throw our kitchen towels away. We use them, reuse them. Alberta from Tsume, she said, I feel now guilty every time I use a cloth, because we know even in Namibia, in the secluded areas, how difficult it is to get things. So don't throw away, let's make pretty again. Okay, so here's Maestro. I'm somewhere going to, my water has cooled down now. The warmer water will actually allow for your color to distribute evenly, but I will never throw this away, because then you can color and recolor. We saw curtains today on the Tjhoko Creations page that a client colored with 25 milliliter of paint, and she sprayed it onto her curtains. Trish actually shared that post on our books ideas WhatsApp group, because we are busy planning a new Tjhoko book. Okay, so my fabric is wet. I'm now dipping it in Maestro. I'm rinsing it out. And you can make your color as dark as you wish. Just make sure this is natural fabrics I'm working on there, not synthetic, else the color won't stick, adhere to your fabric. And I now have a Maestro napkin, and yes, it does dry soft. I'll show you now. You can iron it, look there. You can iron it afterwards. You can put it in the tumble dryer once it is hand dry, just to heat set it, or iron it to heat set it. Also some inspiration, you can now dip it in the next color and dip dye it, so that you almost have like a dipping effect. Or if you don't like the light green, I actually like the fact when we work with the same color but different tones to get a dipping mottled effect. Or if you want to have something bespoke and different, you don't all need to be the same. I can dip it in different color. That's simply Sapiwe. Now the next step will be to just dry it flat. Okay, I'm going to do this because I want the colors to go mixed together. So here's something that looks army. We need reinforcements when we do dishes and work in the kitchen. And no, okay, dry flat. That is the key. Else, all the water and color will just drip out. I have some towels below here at the bottom on my floor. I'm just going to put it on that towel and let it dry. But how stunning is this? Only now that I'm putting it down, I can actually see how stunning is this. Don't throw away, people. Let's upcycle. Okay, so once that is dry, the next step will be to iron or put in your tumble dryer. The moment you put it in the tumble dryer, the fabric, the feel of the fabric just becomes so much softer. So we are working with orange and green table setting. These were old napkins, okay? And this will be now my color on my table. So simply Sapiwe Sam Olivia Spale. I've did it in exactly the same process as I've shown you with that. And these ones I will also do. I'm not going to repeat it because the process will be the same. Okay. Next, for our shoot tomorrow, we have bordjies. Okay, so we have, okay, you will see how the table is set. It's going to be beautiful. I don't want to give away too much. But we have these wooden planks. And I had ones that were not yellow. Okay, so this is going to be the outcome. Okay, let me show you. So I still want the blonde timber wooden finish, but pine looks like this. And I want to change it to something that looks more stylish, more elegant. So how am I going to go about? In coloring the color, changing the color of the wood, that it's still a blonde timber finish, but with more style and elegance. Okay, this is how I'm going to do it. So first of all, I need a damp mutton cloth. So I just take my water, dampen my cloth, and then with this damp cloth, I'm also going to dampen my raw wood. Very important is I'm working on raw wood. Do you know how nice pallet woods work? You know pallet wood? If you just sand it, cut it, beautiful cheese platters. Okay, Wimpy Taste from Humansdorp. I think he will throttle me if I say he's Wimpy. Taste from Humansdorp made these for me on a very short notice. So thank you, Taste. Okay, so I'm wetting my wood. The reason for this is I want color to evenly flow in my raw wood. And how I'm going to do that discoloring is I have some antique round glaze. Now, antique round glaze does come with a stirring stick. Mine is just somewhere. I'm using a paintbrush. I mix it. Now, you will see on the How To series, there are so many ways of using the products. And sometimes I simply take shortcuts. My cloth is now wet, okay? And I'm only going to dip one edge of my cloth in the antique brown glaze. Okay, I'm squeezing out excess. The rest of my cloth is wet but clean. So the moment I want to wipe away something that I feel is too dark, I wipe. So wipe on, wipe off, until I'm happy with the outcome. If it's too dark, it will be very difficult to change it to a lighter tone. There are always ways of fixing everything. And then we will dry brush. Dry brush and sanding usually are our rescue techniques if we need to rescue the day. So I wet the wood first, wipe the antique glaze on, wipe away with my cloth if I want to create a lighter tone. So this is not dark wood, it's still blonde wood, but it's elegant. No one will know that I've just used pine or pallet wood for that matter to create something. Now, very important is attention to detail. I will just make sure that it's done evenly everywhere, but I think the process does make sense. Okay, so importance here in terms of technique, wet wood, wipe on and wipe in, and you can press hard at any time when you want to, and the glaze is still wet if you want to create lighter tones. Something that I've also done last night when I was preparing for these, I sanded once the glaze and the wood is dry, and just look the outcome. Also take note that each piece will look different because the grain of your wood will differ from the one piece to the next, but how stunning is that? So I've sanded, and immediately the detail of the wood gets accentuated. Now the next step will be to stick your masking tape where you want. Now you can see with my pieces that I have prepared for tomorrow's shoot is I have 3 different designs. Color, texture is something that really just distinguish a project, one project from the next. So color, texture, I just love texture and texture on texture, but you need to know how to combine it, and that's why we're here to help. Okay, so I'm going to just show the process. It will remain the same for all the boards, it will just be the color that changes. Okay, so I'm going to use Olivia's pail. I'm going to use a paintbrush. So I have masked off the area that I want to paint. Now I dip my clean dry paintbrush in my jar after I gave it a shake, just to make sure it's well mixed. Any paint needs a shake. I start away from the masking tape. I don't want to apply wet paint here. I rather paint here once my paintbrush has most of the paint has been removed from my paintbrush. So now my paintbrush is nice and dry. I did wipe my finger over my masking tape just to make sure that it sits firmly on my surface, that the paint can't run underneath. Okay, and I paint. Okay, now your paint needs to dry. Now depending on temperature, weather, I just see a bristle there, just remove it. Depending on temperature and weather, this will take 20 to 40 minutes unless you are currently living in the Cape. Then it will take 10 years because it's wet all the time. Jokes. Not 10 years, it will maybe take 40 minutes, but not 20 for the paint to dry. When we're painting something very smooth like melamine, wall tiles, Cape areas, coastal areas, wet areas, cold areas, paint do take longer to dry in those conditions. Then you wait overnight if need be, or 24 hours, and you make sure your paint has dried. Now, many times you will touch a surface, especially smoother surfaces like melamine or wall tiles, and it will feel dry to the touch, but there's still a curing process that's happening, and that is when all the chemicals inside the paint are busy evaporating, curing. The paint is hardening. And in coastal areas, humid areas where there is moisture in the air, that curing process do take longer, and then sometimes you do need to wait 24 to 48 hours before you can apply the glaze in extreme colder, wet temperatures. Okay, but for this, 40 minutes, and then you proceed to the next step. If you're not sure, you do a scratch test on your surface. Now go watch our YouTube channel. It will be a huge help, because for those surfaces, melamine, wall tiles, varnish surfaces, you do need to clean the surfaces properly with lacquer thinners before you start painting. Okay, now I'm going to share an inspiration. Let me do this one. So I have just painted this color, which is Olivia's pale, on the previous board. Now I'm going to apply a stencil pattern. Very important here is to secure your stencil with masking tape. Okay, so I'm securing my stencil. Okay, next I'm taking a plate, dinner plate, paper plate. We wash and reuse. Okay, I am now taking out some stencil of Paris into my plate. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix some maestro. There it is. Hopefully he's not hearing the snake. Into my paint. So I'm just going to do a drop here. Don't want to put the spatula in there. So I don't want to mix too much that the stencil paste becomes too runny. And also take note that once this dries, it dries 2 shades darker. I do want to have a darker tone here. So I want a subtle contrast. It shouldn't be Olivia's pale. It should be Maestro. But due to the fact that I'm mixing it with white, it's very pale at this point. Okay, don't mix too much paint. I'm going to show you how to get it darker in a moment. Now, you can use a paint scraper. I'm just now using the palette knife. And I'm spreading this on top of my dry paint. This is now to create texture. Everything is food safe, water-based. And although it's water-based, it doesn't mean it will wash off with water. Once it's set, it's set. What water-based means is there are no solvents in here. So everything is eco-friendly. Okay. But now I realized, yeah, this looks very much like Olivia's pale, right? And I wanted darker, but I couldn't mix too much paint into my paste, else my paste would have been too runny and then it would leak underneath my stencil. So what I do is I dip my spatula in my Maestro and I spread it over my stencil of Paris paste, and then I know it can't drip and leak underneath my stencil. There will still be a nice contrast. You can keep it mottled like that or mix it in with a paste. Whatever makes you happy. And now while still wet, remove my stencil. I can wash my stencil in water and reuse and reuse and reuse, just like the molds. Use my finger to make sure, attention to detail, everything is neat, round it off and pretty. How stunning is this? There's a question. Okay, I'm listening to the question.
Okay, so the question is, why does the stencil of Paris crack when it dries?
Okay. Why does the stencil of Paris crack when it dries? So this is important. Apply the stencil of Paris during the time of day when temperatures are cooling down. This is a solid, so it dries as a solid. And we were taught that when solids are exposed to heat, it expands. And that is why it will crack. The moment while it's still in a curing time and exposed to rising temperatures, or to heat, or if you're leaving it in the sun, it sets, it's still busy setting, it's exposed to heat, it expands and then it cracks. But if you use it during this time of the step that we do, because then it is after 1 o'clock, it's when temperatures are busy decreasing, cooling down, and then the science doesn't interfere with the paste, if it makes sense. So here are the ones that was done last night. So just work with your paste during the time of day when temperatures are busy cooling down. Does it make sense? Okay. Now also, like we have shown previously, I can now, just to add extra protection to my surface, I'm going to tomorrow use this as a cheese platter, individual cheese platters for each person sitting at the table, and then this will be their Christmas gifts to take home. I have made, and they are still wet, these tags that will go on here with a piece of rope, and I'm going to, with a permanent marker, just write the names of the people at the table that's sitting at each spot. So it will be a table setting indicator, and then this is the Christmas gift they're taking home. So it's part of a gift idea as well. What I'm going to do now is just to add extra protection, because it still is very matte, okay? And when something is matte, it tends to stain, especially if you're working with beetroot or red wine. Although Tjhoko has spilled red wine on something that was chocolate and not yet glazed, and we could remove it, but I'm going to be safe. So what I do, my damp cloth, my clear glaze mix, as we've done with the coasters earlier, and Kelly, now you can show the coaster has dried. This is what it looks like now. There's a subtle satin, beautiful finish to the coaster, and here you can compare the two. So that one has one coat of paint on it, no glaze. Is it visible on the screen, Kaylee? And this one, so it just actually brings out the color as well. Okay, now if I want to add the clear, glaze onto my surface, my clear glaze mix, 3 parts to 1 part water, 3 parts glaze, 1 part cooled boiled water, my damp cloth, microfiber, and I simply wipe my glaze onto my surface. It is food safe, it is water based, and it adds extra stain resistance to your cheese board. And that's it. What we have also done for the shoot, instead of buying a lot of flower pots, and it's costing you an arm and a leg, but you do want beautiful decorations in the center of your table, just taking this out of the way, we have spekboompjes, and we still need to go and get some sea sand, but we have stenciled our paper bags, and we are now going to fill them with some sand, and then just toss this around, and you can tear the paper just to make the folding easier. No one will even notice, because we're going to put a rope around it. So the rope is also here somewhere. I see it, there's Nadine on the edge. Yeah. So this is our flower pots for our table setting. And what I'm going to do, full sand, spekboom, and just turn a piece of rope around there. Just let me show you so it's clear. I stepped into my wet stencil. I so badly tried to stay clean, so badly. Did you see my beautiful dress that I'm painting in? Purely because there hasn't been any time to get dressed in painting clothes. Okay, so this now will go around here. Pretend that with spekboompje in the center of the table as center placements for a beautiful, cost-effective table setting. And you can plant the spekboom in the garden again. You could just cut off a twig and you put it in there. Okay, something else, just as inspiration, air drying clay that we have. This is just normal glasses. I'm going to tie this around the glass with some breadsticks in it. And then we have a beautiful bespoke holder for some breadsticks on the table. Okay, this is some of the things that you will see when you open the Home magazine, and then you will know actually how it was made. I hope that this was helpful. I am going to share something with you that I experienced this week. So it still feels like we recently moved, although it's nearly been 2 years. And I can't even think how difficult immigration is to those that move to other countries, because the move for us just to a different province was difficult, because you are accustomed to your area, to new places, and it feels for the first time like I'm starting to ease into the process. And this week I phoned a few people. So Sharon is the artist, she arranged for the location. Then I phoned Clinton at the local nursery and said, Clint, I need some plants for the shoot. Can you maybe help? He said, anytime, Nadine. He was at the nursery before daybreak to come and help me before my meeting started, and delivered to my house a whole lot of plants. You will see them in the shoot. Then I found a florist in Jeffreys Bay, and for the life of me, I can't remember their name. You will see them in the Home magazine. I'm making mention of all these fabulous people and businesses. And I asked them, I want to buy a bunch of flowers. And the next moment they phoned back and said, you can have them, we'll send them to your local spa. Okay, this is now small town living. Then my neighbor has the most beautiful kitchen store that I've ever seen. There's one in the Cape, one in Jeffreys Bay, and one in St. Francis Bay in-house. If ever you need kitchen appliances or something bespoke for your kitchen, that's the place to go. And I said to her, I need something beautiful for the shoot. Can you maybe help? Her and her husband loaded my combi full of things for the shoot. So between Sharon the artist, Clint from the nursery, the florist in Jeffreys, in-house, I have a beautifully styled shoot for tomorrow's home insert that you will soon see. So thank you to all of them, and thank you for being so human. That's something that's very close to my heart as being a business owner and a South African, to take hands and to make life easier for others. So my message for the week ahead is gratitude. I have a story to tell. So last night before we went to bed, I said to Kayla, the best thing to start a day is to first think about 3 things you are so grateful about, and then end your day with 3 things that you are grateful for. Then you've started your day positively, you've ended it positively. And she was still speaking to me, and we said it, and we had said our prayers, and she said she was still speaking to me, and the next moment I said to her, het jy vir Benny Boekwurm gesien? So when we grew up, Willy Wally was something that we watched on TV, and my unconscious grabbed onto Willy Wally for some or the other reason. So even those small things, even if it's a memory from your childhood, let's be grateful for the little things. I hope that the week ahead is beautiful and beautifully creative, together with you and your Tjhoko journey. And I'm thankful for the amazing people, my family, business, our business, the people in our business, you that's watching, that's part of our journey. And this comes from a very sincere place. So have a grateful week filled with gratitude till we are back with more inspiration. Lots of love. Bye.